Well, perhaps it'd be more helpful to argue that the secular aren't necessarily blank on the side of the supernatural. And well, I think of someone like Hitler, who I would hardly classify as a good Christian man, although he had many things in common with Christians, such as phobia about Jews, that many Christians did have. That's an emotive way of putting it, but you know what I mean. But he was artistic. He was intensely patriotic. He felt there was a fantastic calling upon his life. He found, well, anyone who appreciates Wagner has got a soul. My goodness, I mean, the energy in that music. I remember, for instance, not Wagner, but Aida, Triumph March. Absolutely transcendent effect it had on me when I first heard that. Played it on an old gramophone record as a young teenager. It's not that the secular don't, even some of them fear the supernatural. So some of them don't, of course. It's all hogwash, rubbish boy, like my dad would say. Though he did have a friend who met with the Loch Ness Monster one evening when he was in his car with his beloved, and headlights on, and realised this huge creature was walking across the track. And because my dad knew this chap very well, he just knew that he couldn't be lying. So he said to me, well, there must be a Loch Ness Monster. Or something in that lake, anyway. You see, it depends what your experience in life is, doesn't it? Equally, I think it might be very fair to say that you don't have to believe in God to be spiritual. You might argue from a particular religion's point of view that it's the wrong spirit, but there's all shades of believing in supernatural, from that which is evil to that which is very good to that which is not considered to be on that particular paradigm, but rather simply something supernatural, not physical. Like, well, fortune telling. Of course, there are some religions that dismiss anything that's supernatural that's not supernatural miraculous as being supernatural evil. Oh, well, okay. They're not going to get on too well with each other then, are they? A bit dismissive. Not a good foundation for negotiation. So you can run into all sorts of semantic hang-ups as to, well, a person who believes in the divine might feel he believes in God, but he might feel that he certainly doesn't want to refer to him as God, and it's not the dear old man in the sky picture, I mean. Theosophists that are clearly much of this ilk, they'll very cautiously refer to the divine, whereas theosophists of 100 years ago, I mean, well, they were Christian, or at least they believed they were, or at least some of them did. I mean, they formed their own religious group called and it was very liberal, but I mean, liberal Catholic Church. It wasn't very Catholic. And certainly the major denominations thought it wasn't very Christian either, but there's all shades of this, isn't there? So spiritual people aren't necessarily God-fearing or God-loving, or God much at all. And secular people that pride themselves on a rationality that they assume the religious don't have are not necessarily unspiritual, or don't believe in love and care and kindness and compassion and forgiveness and life. They have different boundaries, different constraints, different views, yes. But then they do within religion too. I mean, some religions are so strict you can't have a blood transfusion, and I must say I'd be cautious of such. Some won't kill animals. I'm with them on that. Some claim they don't believe in God, like the Buddhists. I'm still with them, but don't agree with that. And when I look at many of them, they look as though they're worshipping the Buddha as God anyway. Looks like a god to me, the way they're behaving. Did I find Buddhists more rational than Christians? No. Interesting? Yes. But from a secular point of view, not really acceptable, just because they haven't got God in the picture. They've got some astonishing beliefs about heaven and hell and so forth, and a lot of other things too. I don't mean Christian beliefs aren't astonishing, they are. They're even more astonishing when you realise they're not particularly in the Jesus story. But then you have to open the Christian view to the wider biblical story, which, well, I take to be a bit of a mishmash of different religious views over several thousands of years. And not all of them good. But not all of them bad, by any means. You should love your God with all your heart, soul, mind and strength. And by your God, I mean the personification of what you value. And if you practice thanking God for everything you appreciate, see what happens. You'd be amazed. I was. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.